I don't think people have been lazy, but I think people have been nervous and scared, and I understand. And I mean, I take the position that I'm representing Magnum photographers. Well, guess what? They're all freelancers, so a Magnum photographer doesn't have a guaranteed paycheck, like all photographers. So people are concerned when they see their income streams that were the newspapers and magazine get smaller and smaller and smaller, and they're looking at like, how am I going to survive? So there's a little bit of fear factor within the industry. The other thing is that nobody has figured out the model that works, and there's been much smarter people than me that have been thinking about it. So, I understand why people are very, very concerned, but I've always taken the position that the opportunities are in front, and with chaos is usually the biggest success for opportunity. So right now there's chaos in the industry, and that is where there's the biggest opportunity and the biggest chances for making big gains. You can either cannibalize some of your business to survive and grow, or you can put the shield up and say, I've seen this thinking where they say, well, we'll just build the wall a little bit higher, Well, guess what? They're not coming through a wall. They're coming from the bottom, they're coming from the top, they're coming from all over. There's no defense, like that way. So you have to, I think the mission, at least of Magnum, and the integrity of what Magnum represents, and this desire to go out in the world and engage in the world and try to tell a story in a high quality way, and a photographer will do it whether there's an audience or there's no audience. I mean, this is just the DNA, what they're built. They're just going to go out and do it. But I think that by embracing these new companies, this is the future, and why turn your back on it? And if Robert Capa said, forget it, I'm not going to use a handheld camera, you would never have pictures of D-Day, So I think that if you're not embracing this and if you're not working with these companies, then what good is the work that you're producing, because no one's going to see it. I still feel that as human beings there is a desire for an understanding on a high quality level of content, and that we don't want to go through 4 million images of Flickr to find images. So we want somebody to be pulling this together and giving it to us, because we don't have the time to do it ourselves. So therefore I still feel that photojournalism is extremely valid, and even maybe more valid today than it ever was before. And so I just think it's about figuring out the right partnerships. I don't think you can put all your eggs in one basket, and I think you have to diversify. So I don't think you throw out everything of the old. There's still a very important place for a book. There's still a very, very important place for a print. And I think your engagement, and that's why I said, if people learn about your work first through a podcast or through some other, just new technology, but then eventually end up coming to a gallery and seeing your work, their experience with what that work in a different format is going to be completely different. And so I say, don't stop making prints, and don't stop making books. And even though the licensing business has been shrinking, don't stop making improvements in the licensing so that Magnum's archive can be searched better, and because there still is going to be smaller demands, but there'll still be demands there. And you need to support those existing structures before you fully move to the next ones. But at the same time, the next ones, I think you have to be looking at 5 or 6 different areas at once, and you have to see which ones are succeeding, and you have to be very quick to say, cut this one when it's not succeeding and move forward on this one when it is. And yes, we're going to have an iPhone app, we're going to have an iPad app, we're going to have different ways to engage in stories. I don't believe in just trying to bring everyone back to one site. You know, that was a sort of web 1.0, like build it and try to drive traffic and then bring some advertising there and da-da-da. That doesn't exist anymore. I think you have to have content, and you need to disseminate that content in as many places as possible, and you need to have people engaging in that content. And I think you want to make transactions on your content on other people's sites or on other devices, and you know, you want to have some kind of branding within that so people start to understand. I mean, the difference between Magnum is Magnum was always going from a B to B. It was newspapers and magazines. So the newspaper and magazine industry knew who Magnum was, but the general public did not. So now it's educating the general public on what Magnum is, what Magnum's mission is, but hopefully you're educating the public because they're interested in the stories that Magnum photographers are doing. I think the biggest thing is to make sure we're continuing to support photographers to go out and do those stories so that you have this content so that people are engaging with that content.